This is the last panel of the day, so hopefully you've been here for a long time. We shall have our new State Secretary for Digital Affairs, Mr. Cedrico, who will be joining us just after this panel at 6:05. The second good news that I have for you is that, of course, because this is the last panel, we kept for you the most interesting subject, which is quantum computing. Is it a crypto killer? And of course, as the name says, it's a very non-complex subject. So, because it is a complex subject, I'd like to start with a few questions to the audience. Who among us are computer engineers? Please raise your hands. Okay, great, thank you. Who is from business or marketing background? Okay, great. So, it's almost 50-50. We have a great panel of experts that they will introduce each other. So I'm just going to give you a brief overview. I will start with Vincent Danos. Vincent Danos is the Director of Research at the CNRS. He's a quantum expert. We have Ludovic Perret, who is the CEO of a company called CryptoNext. He is also a prominent searcher in this field. We have Dima Chezovsky. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Okay. He's the CTO of a crypto company called GeoProtocol. And we have Li Jun from Switzerland. He's the chairman of ABCMint. So I have a very short introductory for you, and then we will start the panel. Most of the computer science that we have for the last 50 years is based on binary computing. And most of the securities that we use every day for transaction, for PayPal payment, Visa, MasterCard, making bank wires, they are using a kind of cryptography that has been in the industry for a long time, and which is based on assumption. Factorizing very large numbers into prime numbers is a difficult task that cannot be achieved in a small amount of time. And because of that, it's very secured. And now we are entering into a new era because fundamental physics have made huge steps, and we already have quantum computers. What is the difference? Why is quantum computing such a threat for the crypto industry, and why could it jeopardize all of our current financial transactions? Very basically because quantum is not binary. It has one extra byte of information. We are not using bits, we are using qubits. And because of that, it has exponential calculus capacities, and it could break all those algorithms that we use in modern cryptology. So to discuss this, I will join the panel and start with a few questions. So my first question will be for you, Ludovic. As I said, you're the founder of CryptoNext, and you are very expert in this field. So how real is this threat? Are we looking to something which is of the present, of the future? What is the current status of this new threat?
So, as you said, quantum computer is the promise of an incredible quantum computing power. So this is a true paradigm shift in computation, which will make something which is impossible today possible, in particular regarding the security. So it is not science fiction. So quantum computers are coming. So they are available in various ways. So you can implement algorithm via cloud. You can access quantum computer via cloud. So IBM already sold a quantum computer. So the point is that their power are currently limited, but this has increased exponentially in the last 3 years. And many people believe that within the 10 or 15 years, we will have a quantum computer which will be able to break public key cryptography, which is used in particular in the blockchain, in the signature protocol. And so, in fact, the question is not when or if the quantum computer is going to come. So the problem is generalized, and the issue is so big that the the NIST, which is the main standardization body in the cybersecurity area, decided to renew the standard. So there is a competition which is currently running. So in fact, we are at the stage 2 of the competition, and within 2 years, we will have a new post-quantum cryptography algorithm. And so in particular, we are working at CryptoNext quite a lot on this area. So we are implementing these protocols, and we have a huge expertise. So we have many papers, and we submitted algorithms. So we are quite involved on that.
Thank you very much. Dima, we were talking backstage about GeoProtocol, and I tried to summarize saying that it's a cryptography as a service on layer 2. I have a question for you. There are public blockchains, private blockchains. Among the public blockchain, Bitcoin is obviously the most wealthiest one, almost 100 billion. I mean, do you think that hackers having access to quantum computers would first try to target the blockchain Bitcoin?
I think that we should not rely on hackers, or maybe on an opportunity that some kind of group of people would use quantum computers for breaking some systems. I think we should take the main concepts of the cryptography and remember that the cryptography says us that in case if there is a probability of the systems hack, it would be hacked in some part of time. So we should not think about hackers, which we should think of in this moment when we are strongly realize that the threatness is real. We should focus on solutions how to secure our systems in face of this threatness. And there is no any importance here. Would it be hackers? Would it be some rich group of people? Would it be some group of scientists? It's a threatness that must be fixed in a short period of time.
Thank you. Jin, we were also talking in backstage and trying to figure how people could mitigate. Is it a protocol issue? Is it a technological issue? And we came to the conclusion that it might be a political issue, because for blockchain, it takes a majority of nodes, 51%, to make a change. And can you share with us your views on what could happen?
Okay, so I'd like to introduce myself, Jin Liu, chairman of ABCMint Foundation. ABCMint, it means algorithm, blockchain, cryptography, mathematics. So ABCMint Foundation is a non-profit foundation. We support globally about the research and application of quantum computer resistance signatures algorithms worldwide. That's the very thing what we do. So we support something, it's called ABC, to redesign Bitcoin. The reason is that very fundamental algorithm of Bitcoin is elliptic curve signatures. It's quantum breakable. So just get elliptic curve signature out, replace with some PQC algorithm, quantum computer resistance algorithm. That's the thing what we are right now supporting. So in future, actually there are 2 points I want to summarize. The first is right now, American government is making the standards of a quantum computer resistance algorithms, signatures, public exchanges. And the American government will make the stands in next 3 years. Any entities, if they want to do business with the American government, must move from the current algorithms, signatures, to quantum computer resistance algorithms. European will follow it. Japanese probably follow it. Nearly all the countries should follow it, probably. It will happen very soon. And more, nearly all the tokens, coins, blockchains are built on ECC. So, in next 3 years, game is changed. That's my opinion.
Thank you very much. Vincent, we were also discussing, is blockchain, Bitcoin the main target? You said no. There are other ways for quantum threat and the hackers to access huge amounts of values. And could you elaborate a little bit more on?
Yeah, so the idea is that there will be an increasing amount of blockchain-related exchanges, steps of protocols that do not actually happen on the chain or directly by an interaction of the chain, but that will partly happen between participants in a contract, for example. So an example we discussed backstage was selling a piece of digital data against a payment. So it's the cryptographic problem of fair swap. And there are good solutions now which do not involve complicated and expensive zero-knowledge steps, but they do rely on sending things off-chain from the selling party to the buying party. So, you know, that's the legs or the dark part of the contract, the interactions that are not on the chain, but that are critical to the good fulfilling of the protocol. Those are also things that we should protect. That's number one. So more of the contracts will happen off-chain. And also you have to secure the last element, right? So the interaction of the user with the wallet, with the whatever is the device that actually injects or runs the process that is collaborating in the contract to push whichever protocol the players are interested in. And there's a lot of discussion about where should be the key, should it be in a trusted element, managed in a trusted execution environment. And so if I may take a minute, so Samsung has a different proposition at the moment, although I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but in the Samsung 10, they have what's called a PUF, which is a physically unclonable function, or physically unclonable functionality, depending. And what is that? It's a trick to make any player, like Alice, get authenticated by another player who actually knows a secret without having a key which is local to, let's say, a mobile phone, just to fix ideas. So that's a very tempting object. You'd like to have it. I don't know if Samsung Pay actually uses it, but it's a way for a distant person of trust to make sure that that person, let's call him Bob, is interacting with the true Alice. And the way it works is that Bob sends a challenge. He knows the answer to the challenge because he built the physically unclonable device, and then the device responds to the challenge with the correct response, and then Bob is certain that the person he's talking to may be very distant, is actually Alice, because no one can clone physically the device that responds correctly to the challenge. So that's an object that lots of people are fantasizing about, but that, in a recent quantum breakthrough, has been shown to be attackable by quantum means. And they are not, just like Ludovic was saying, they are not by quantum devices from the future. They are by quantum devices of reasonable size today with the technological offering that we have.
Thank you very much.
May I add several?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, but for me, the things you are talking about seems like very, very contrastable to the one of the basic approach of the asymmetric cryptography, especially do not rely on a pre-shared keys, especially in the hardware implementations. So I think we should not focus on a hardware solution, because the hardware solutions are only discordant string.
Right, but there are market forces that will tell you otherwise. And who is going to win? Is it the pure cryptographic view, or is it the market forces, the people who are telling you to? So, you know, a keyless, secure way to talk to the blockchain would be a fantastic product.
I will continue, thank you, and we shall continue this discussion probably later on. I have another question for Ludovic. We were also talking about how real is that threat? You know, we had a Telegram group to prepare this panel. We were exchanging views on a research paper, and we were talking about the transaction in the blockchain for the Bitcoin which are at risk. And we saw that as soon as 2027, all the transactions in the pools could be at risk. Can you elaborate a little bit further on this, please?
Yeah. So we all well, we kind of know that there is two basic cryptographic blocks which are underlying the security of blockchain. The first one is hash function. So hash function is going to be impacted by quantum computer, but in a reasonable way, so in a not too bad way. We don't need to change hash function and hash protocol, so we can scan it. So it's not a big issue. So the big issue is with respect to the signature, because we are going to be able to break in polynomial time, so very badly, the signature. And so the signature is what is related to your identity, and someone with a quantum computer will be able to store your identity, so derive from your public key, your secret key, and put whatever you want on the blockchain on your behalf. So that's kind of serious issue, because it can basically store your crypto assets.
I agree with Ludwig's words. So it's something about a fundamental algorithm. For example, about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is built on ECDSA, some kind of ECC. So as the topic is about content computing, the crypto killer. So I want to give you guys some idea. The idea is that right now, content computer use shares algorithm to crack public key and get your private key if you protect it by ECC. So how much qubit can crack ECC? Roughly 4,200 qubits, or 4,008 qubits, less than 5,000 qubits. In 1 minute is where crack one public key. Right now, from the public information, all you guys can Google it. You gotta find Intel, IBM, Google. They have developer around 100 qubit, right? More or less. So it's said to get around less than 5,000 qubits. It will spend around maybe 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, or more. It doesn't matter. What matters is right now, American government is making the stand. Europe will follow it. Nearly all the countries will follow it. Let's think about why. So, in my opinion, content attack absolutely all the cryptos, coins, killer. You guys, for about the tokens, coins, blockchains, change the algorithm or you gotta be dead.
So I think it's a pretty clear statement. Either we change or we're dead. Dima, so how do you keep us alive?
Sorry, can you repeat, please?
How do you keep us alive? How can you contribute to secure that thing?
So, actually, the process is started already. The NIST, that my colleague talks about, has a proposal to the community to prepare the next standard that would be quantum resistant, and as I know it, at the moment they are on a stage 2. That means for us that they have selected some very interesting algorithms that are very potentially, one of them very potentially would be the final standard. So, in my point of view, we should only wait for about several years until this standard would be available and prepare our today's systems to be able to implement it as fast as it's possible, because it's really it is really valuable for us how fast we would implement this, because it correlates with our own security.
Thank you. Vincent?
So, what's the theoretical evidence at the time we're speaking that the new schemes that are considered by NIST in this competition, you mentioned stage 2 is the stage where, it's a bunch of shortlisted, essentially lattice-based crypto schemes?
You know, there is 3 family of schemes, so there is kind of 9. But so, so in fact, we have to live with something. with cryptography, which is the same than today. So today you assume that elliptic curve is difficult to break. But this is still an assumption, and so we believe it's true, so it's an assumption. And it's going to be the same with the new post-quantum standard. So we will introduce new assumption, which has been studied since many years. And all the experts and NIST will decide at some point, well, this one or these 2 or 3 ones is the one on which we decide to bet for the future.
So just to be clear, they are not known to be quantum resistant. There is no known quantum algorithm that breaks them. It's quite a difference.
That's the same
for elliptic curves, we know they are broken.
But in the classical setting, there is no proof that it cannot be broken.
Sure. But there are grades of proof, grades of evidence that are theoretical anyway. So I understand. So okay, I'm going to say
so
you don't want
let's avoid being an expert discussion because we are talking about a very complex matter.
But the question is not expert. The question is what's the plausibility of these hardness assumptions, you know, and so okay.
I think because most of our audience is coming, you know, half is computer, half is business. I think that we should really stay down to the earth and discuss like very concrete matters. I have a question about the maturity of the quantum computers itself. I mean, you're working at the CNRS. Obviously, if there is one of us which has access to this kind of incredible machines, is you. What can you tell us about the maturity of the system? Does the CNRS actually has one? Runs it? Is it only quantum simulators? Do you have access to this kind of power? And what can you tell us about it?
So what Ludovic said, essentially, so there are a bunch of big actors. Rigetti is someone you didn't mention. D-Wave. D-Wave is selling, and has been selling over the years, a very large quantum computers that are not universal, but they have over 1,000 qubits today, or so they claim. So and those machines are, only the number of qubits you can access is not a good measure of how much you can do with them. But there are a bunch of large industry actors who are giving access to researchers to these kind of resources. So there's Rigetti, Google, you know, and there's a major investment in quantum, but major really in the People's Republic of China at the moment. Alibaba has injected huge amounts in quantum computing. We can expect those things to scale rapidly to the level where they're actually going to break what we know can be broken at the moment. We know nothing about the new codes that NIST is preparing.
Thank you very much, Jin.
Excuse me.
So a tiny thing that may not be of importance to anyone, but just, you know, indulge me. So let's assume that you know, the scheme that NIST chooses is actually hard for quantum. You know, it's not unreasonable, for sure. It doesn't mean that when you compose it to other elements to make bigger protocols, they are still inherit from that resistance. So there's something subtle about quantum attacks that defeats the composability of your cryptographic breaks with other objects. So it's another thing, a degree of complication we have to take care of.
So, Jin, very briefly, and then we will have to wrap up because we have the Secretary of State which is coming.
So, excuse me, I think that we should tell something for all the guys can understand easily. So the first thing, I gotta tell you guys, quantum computer, the real crypto killer. Okay? I said in the next 3 years, change, or you guys gotta be died. The second thing I want to make you guys know, I think most of the guys here are from France. One of the top PQC quantum computer resistance guys, Ludovic. If you get any question, just ask Ludovic. This guy is a very tough guy. Okay?
You are all tough guys, I can testify.
About the quantum resistance. Okay? So, in the world, any questions if you guys want to ask, just ask me. Okay? Thank you.
Good one. Dima, you want to add something?
Yeah, I think there is one real valuable moment here. Even in case if humanity will bring the really quantum resistant algorithm, it's not enough for us to simply rely on it. We should take into account the next moment. I have collected some numbers for you. So the problem is that these kind of algorithms are generating the really huge amount of data as a signatures. So simply to compare, current solutions that are based on classic ERSA or ECDSA are generating about 200 of bits of data as a signature. And in the same time, the quantum resistance algorithms, for example, those who have passed the second stage of the NIST, for example, crystal dilithium generates 26 kilobytes of the data as a one signature. Sphinx generates 300 kilobytes as a single signature. It's 300 kilobytes. So we should think about that. Even in case if we are able to use this post-quantum algorithm, we should be ready to really increase our space for our public blockchains and traffic. And just think just a moment, this increase factor is 2 times. So you can multiply it by 10 and again by 10. And this is a huge number even for technologies that are available for us at the moment.
Thank you. Maybe Jin, a last comment, and then I will wrap up because we have 1 minute left. And
Okay, so I think what you guys are listening really is mini US dollars speech in OPBWS. So thank you guys very much. And one more thing I want to make you guys know is that even we know quantum computer is the crypto killer, I believe most of the guys think that I will sell my bitcoins, Ethereums, or something like that. Remember, this is not my financial advice. Take your own risk and your own responsibility. I believe some guys will pump up the price of a Bitcoin, Ethereum, or something, then they will escape. So, championship began. Who will escape first in next 3 years? Tipping point is that American guys will make the stance. Let's keep eyes open. The most important web page is that just Google NIST space PQC, find our web page. Thanks you guys.
thank you very much. I think we can give a big round of applause to everyone. Thank you, and we shall